The Nikki Glaser Podcast. The Nikki Glaser Podcast.
Here's Nikki. Hello, here I am. Welcome to the show. It's the Nikki Glaser Podcast. How you feeling out there? Feeling pretty good here in St. Louis. My mom isn't here today. That was fun yesterday. Hope you enjoyed that podcast of just all Taylor Swift recap. I had to do it. Listen, I'm constantly holding back from saying way more stuff about Taylor Swift. So let me indulge one episode. Not that anyone complained about it. And things are good here today. Getting ready to go tomorrow to Tucson, show in Tucson, Thursday night. Noah will be there. She lives there, right, Noah?
Yep. I'm going to be there. Available to you all day. You just tell me. You just tell me when.
I have to do a photo shoot. Unfortunately, if the guy that's doing it is listening, just know that it's not ideal. But I'm doing it.
Is this something you're doing under duress?
Of course. Literally.
Is this something you're doing undressed?
Yeah, under.
Is this your dream to be in a photo?
I am doing it undressed. He pitched an idea where I'm naked holding a paper, and the paper says Nikki loses her virginity, and I'm going, ooh, and I go, not doing that.
Oh my goodness.
He was like, my wife came up with it, and I was like, that's really sweet, and I understand the impetus for coming up with that idea. And the other one was like, Nikki sleeps with 182 men, or it was something like, and then I'm supposed to be like, oh, like shocked. So we're still doing the newspaper idea, but we need a better headline of what I'm shocked at. But I was
Nikki
just
Glaser
like,
gets pigeonholed repeatedly.
Yes. He was just like, you're going to love this. And I was like, that's so sweet. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. It's everything I don't want to.
Nikki reads Columbine book.
Yeah, I mean,
and then you're
I wanted
shocked.
it to say Trump dead. But
say, like,
I thought
Nikki
it could turn
is
into
a
a Kathy
good girl.
Griffin thing. Yeah, it has to, but I'm supposed to be going like, I'm over a great in Marilyn Monroe, like surprise. Like it's supposed to be like a shocking headline. Dewey defeats Truman. Wait, isn't that the one that everyone? I don't know.
That's the mistake one, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. But I'm doing that photo shoot because he has a book. I mean, literally, if you want private time with me, just find a way to ask me. Just make a book. That you're doing interviews with comedians for a book, and you get a private time with me. Because anyone who writes a book, I mean, I did an interview yesterday for 2.5 hours for a girl who's writing a book about kind of eating disorders. Said yes to that. She flew here from New York. She's a journalist who flew here, so that was very nice. She flew in and out in one day. So I mean, yes. And then this guy is doing a book of photographs, and he had like a good list of people he's photographed before. I don't know in what way. It could have been from a distance. He could have been stalking them, but he said he did. So I go, okay, I'll join the ranks of people like Ali Wong and I don't know, someone else. I think I saw Ali Wong's name and I go, sure, I like beef. And then in Tucson, in Vegas, I'm doing an interview with a reputable director about Joan Rivers. So I got to study Joan Rivers. And then they asked me today, do you want to talk about Ellen? And I was like, sure, I love Ellen. And they were like, you did a piece on her in the MTV Awards, and we want you to comment. I'm like, then I'm not doing it because I know the piece. It was like a in memoriam we did, like when I hosted those shows. And it was like all the things that had died, and it was like Ellen's reputation. And it was like, that was the year she came out as like, people were saying she was mean. So I go, I'm not commenting on it. You can use that clip, but I will not be in the documentary with that clip because I like money. I like getting to work in this business. And despite what people may or may not say about Ellen, she's very beloved. And I would definitely go to a party if I was invited to her house. And I would be friends with her, even though everything that precedes her, because I feel like she's nice to her friends. And I want to be a friend.
You can't burn bridges, you gotta take it. You gotta take it when you can,
Yeah.
How about that for a comment?
I mean, it's decent. It's not, it keeps the conversation going.
Yeah.
You lobbed it back.
I lobbed it back to you. Hey, Nikki, what do you think about this? I'm not going to comment on Ellen.
Yeah,
so what am I going to do?
Yeah, if
you're not commenting on Ellen, I'm not going to be like, what? She's a dumpy hoe or whatever. I'm not going to take the hard take here.
And you have things you have nothing to lose, but you need to gain things. And we want you to be able to gain.
I have the loss of potential. And that is invaluable because you have unlimited potential, they tell you. I don't believe it, but they say you have unlimited potential.
Really? They say that?
They say that. You're like
let's stop
hurtling
telling
through
kids
space.
they can do anything. I mean, I know I've said tell your kids you can do anything if you have hard work within limits. I mean, sorry, some people ain't gonna don't discourage kids if they like something. Like, let them do anything they like, even if they're bad, right? Like,
well, for fun, yeah. I mean, people told me I could potentially play basketball, and I was only 5. I wound up being 5'11" and a half, not tall enough to play basketball.
You really
not even
present
in college.
as a guy who's taller. I would have guessed 6'2".
Oh, really? 6'2"?
Yes.
Yes. His camera angle.
I don't think I've met Brian in person. I didn't realize you were that tall.
Well, in my mind he is, but he's 5'11" and a half.
5'11"
in
and
real
a half.
life.
Yeah,
okay,
and a half.
we're
I never hit
it
6.
Taller than me.
You know,
Yeah,
I'm
it
an
is taller than
average.
Noah.
I'm above average height. I don't know what the average height of the male is. I think it's 5'8", actually.
I think it is if we
I was gonna guess
count
5'10".
Vietnamese men. I think they bring down the average or something.
right.
There's some, I think in Asia they bring it down.
Well, in
okay.
the U.S., the average male
maybe
height
it's-
in 2017 is 5'9".
Okay. So I'm above
5'7".
average, but that's not enough to be a basketball player.
the scientists are even lying about their results. They're like, let's bump this number up. This is just so discouraging. Okay, so 5'9".
I practiced basketball all my childhood, and I got good at shooting hoops. And no one told me that you have no chance at all of even getting a scholarship in college with this. I don't care how many camps you go to.
Right. Okay. So what would you have preferred? Do you wish that you wouldn't have wasted all that time and you would have put it towards something that you could do, like
Ice
I would have
skating?
played piano.
Pickleball?
I would have. They should have said, sit your ass down at the piano and play it as much as you play basketball.
But let's go back to you loved basketball. You
I
didn't
loved
love
it.
piano at the time. You would have been bitching about your parents making you play piano.
And now-
I'm
and-
guessing you wouldn't have gotten in any camps for that either, or become you probably had as much potential with piano as you did basketball when in the real scheme of things, or maybe not.
If I have a child, which I probably won't, I will lock them in a room and I will have them sit at a piano and learn Spanish until they come out proficient.
Spanish piano.
Just
yeah.
You have to play
Spanish songs.
Yeah, if they don't come out singing a Spanish song on the piano, I'm not going to let them out of the room.
It is, I mean, bilingual. You got to go bilingual. I'm getting my kid, Duolingo or whatever it is. That's the first app going on their iPad. And they're getting a Haitian nanny.
Yes.
They're going to learn Creole. They're going to learn some very rare French dialect of Creole that only 5 people speak. I want my kid. Yeah, you got to have a bilingual kid. There's nothing cooler than a bilingual person. Do you know that Anya knows Russian? And that Noah knows what is it?
Hebrew?
Hebrew.
I know Hebrew and I understand
Oh.
Romanian. But
She
Anya has a song in
understands Romanian.
Anya has a song in Portuguese. So did you have to learn Portuguese for that?
Did you?
Doji. É pau, é pedra, é o fim do caminho. É uma solidão.
Oh, I love that song. That's the Waters of March.
Yes.
Yeah, at the Waters of March. That's a great song. I love that song. I heard
It
that
is
song for
good.
the first time in Penn Station. A man was playing it on a guitar, and I thought it was so beautiful. I walked up to him and I said, "What's the name of that song?" And he said,
Whoa.
"I don't know."
What? Really?
He said, "I don't know. I don't know."
He probably played it perfectly.
God.
though.
You were probably so proud of yourself for being like interested, and this guy finally gets to say what his song is, and you're like, I'm doing this man a favor, and he's just bothered by you. Like, give me money. I don't want to tell you what
I
this.
did. I gave him $1. I did after that. He was so upset with me.
Why is that song sound like it's being sung quietly through a door? Like, why does everyone?
Because the
Like, why-
version we all know.
Was it written in a concentration camp? Like, why does it have to be quiet? Like, why? What is that?
I think it's just.
I guess it's just.
There's another
maybe
word in
the-
Portuguese, saudade, which is a really cool word. I think it means like happy, sad, or like melancholy. But
Oh.
that's sort of maybe the culture, the Portuguese culture or Brazilian culture. You just reminded me. I had the weirdest deja vu just now that I don't even know is real. This is how I'm confused about my mind. As Brian was telling that story, I remembered meeting a guitar player, maybe not at Penn Station, but maybe at Penn Station. And I was like, can you accompany me tonight on a show in New York City before I lived in New York? And he played that song with me. And I swear to God, I have his number still somewhere. And I'm like, did that happen? Or am I just inventing some weird memory? But I think it happened like 15 years ago.
To play, and he goes, I don't know.
No, it wasn't.
I don't know what the name of this.
I think he was Portuguese.
Did you feel really cool going up to a busker and being like, hey, join me tonight? Like, I'm going to give this guy an opportunity. He's like homeless. And he's like, actually, I live in Greenpoint and I do quite well. And
he wasn't homeless, but I remember he killed it and we stayed in touch. That's so weird. I don't know if I am Brian.
But that's not deja vu. Wait, deja vu is not when you remember something that happened before. Can I just pipe in with that? Deja vu is when you witness something and you're like, I've seen this before in some weird way. And apparently it's like your brain just slowing down too much or speeding up. And so you're re-witnessing the thing you are living right now. Like it's like your brain skips a beat or something.
Oh,
like,
I didn't know that.
Deja vu is not
it's
when
a
you
trick.
just what you just said, right? Like it's not remembering something.
I had
but you were just saying
an unlocked memory, which I'm not sure even happened.
I gave deja vu to a kid last weekend.
Oh God!
I thought they were vaccinated against that.
It's back, baby. And so I gave it was the Omicron version of deja vu. And you don't lose your sense of smell and taste, but you do
you get brain fog.
You get brain fog and then a memory comes up again. So I was at $100,000 Pyramid and filming that. And okay, so in the room, in our green room, we had like this gift bag and it had the weirdest shit in it. It had like do-rags in it from Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg's brand of do-rags. Snoop Dogg has no affiliation with the show. Then it had dog toys, Snoop Dogg dog toys.
Wow.
One is like a giant joint. That's like I have it right here.
Oh, that's funny. I like the idea of giving a dog a giant joint and having him chew on it. I'm vamping while Nikki runs to get the joint.
House. It was just laying on the floor out there. Now it's probably like put away somewhere that makes sense. But anyway, so it was like this giant joint and all these and then candles and then like Michael Strahan's like beauty products that he has, like beard, softeners, or I don't know what he has, but I no offense, I left it there because I don't need any. I get men's products a lot and I have no men who like actually take care of their hair and need like gels in it. So, but anyway, I was walking back to my set or back to my room after hair and makeup, and one of the PAs was leading me, and he was like, "Can I get you anything?" And I was like, "Do you have like a dog toy like that's Snoop Dogg themed? Like, do you have like a giant stuffed joint?" And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Just like a squeaker toy that's like a joint, or like, do you have any like cool like neon do rags?" And he was so confused, and then I immediately was like, "Oh, they're in the gift bag." Like I immediately like said the joke in case he didn't know. And by the way, Wayne Knight was the other guy on the show, Newman, from Seinfeld. And he laughed because he was across the hallway and definitely had that same gift bag. He goes, "What is with the do-rags and the drawers? Why is Snoop Dogg's merchandise in this bag?" And the guy like kept having a look of confusion even after I told him it's like that was a joke. Sucks. And then I kind of looked back at him and he goes, "I just had the weirdest deja vu." I go, "You've had there's an unlocked thing in your brain where I asked you about Snoop Dogg's do-rag." Like it was so funny, but he just couldn't stop looking at me kind of like he was like lost in it. He was like, "I just can't get over this has happened before." And I was just like, "All right, man," and like shut my door.
Inception. Isn't that
But I gave him, it was cool to like give someone deja vu because it just felt like it's like when you're in someone's dream, you're like, "Oh, sweet."
Oh, I can't talk about the end of Beef because it'll be a spoiler, but there's a thing that happens there that happened to me when I was on mushrooms, the one and only time I've done mushrooms, which is like time tripping and being unaware of where you end and someone else begins. And it was so cool. And I've never seen it illustrated in a way that made me go, that's exactly what has happened to me before when I was like out of my mind on mushrooms when I was 18.
Yeah, it's hard to capture that cinematically, that like a drug experience. Although I do feel like in The Worst Person in the World, that movie, when she does mushrooms and like the weird shit that happens, I feel like I don't know. The only time I've done mushrooms, the walls did start to move and things started to like, a clock started to look like Dolly, like just melting things. And it was just starting. And then I got kicked out of the apartment I was tripping in and out on the streets of New York. And I had to like kind of cognitively fight the mushrooms, which I believe you can do. Like you might, if you take so much, you just might be forced into a trip. But if you are like on the precipice of tripping and you're not in the right space, you can kind of like supersede it and go, I'm not doing it, and like fight it. Because I've tripped before with a friend of mine who, while we were both took enough to like trip. And she was like, my tongue is like, I don't know. It's like, I feel my tongue more than normal. And she wasn't freaking out about it, but she kept talking about it. And I was like, I can't let go. Like, I'm too worried that she's going to think she's going into some kind of like anaphylactic shock. And I'm going to have to step in and be mom. And so I was like, sorry, Trip. Like, you can cry at the sunset, but we're not letting you go any further. Like, I cried at a sunset listening to a song. And then I was like, and then she was like, I got to go home and feed my dogs. I'm like, you're leaving me? And so then it's not fun to trip alone, I don't think. But maybe it is.
You need a spotter. I've never done shrooms, but I did it with, I've smoked a lot of weed. And I remember the first time I ever smoked. You remember that? The first time I ever smoked.
Tell us about your weed experience.
So I'm a pretty cool guy. I smoke marijuana.
What's it like, dude?
Yeah. So when you smoke, you get like, get really tired and you start thinking about your uncle. I'm just kidding. You do.
You do start thinking about like, there's little moments of death creeping in.
Oh God. Well, the first time I ever smoked, I hated it and I wanted to not be high anymore. And I was with I was at my friend's house in high school and I just kept saying, how can I get rid of this? How can I? I was like, what if I jump in the pool? I kept saying, what if I jump in the pool? And my friends were like, you're just going to be wet and high if you jump in the pool. And I did jump in the pool and it didn't fix anything. And it was a freak out. The first time I ever smoked, total freak out. And then I was wet in the pool. Bring
on people's psychiatric, like Dr. Amen, 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 maybe he goes by. He's Justin Bieber's doctor, but he's a brain doctor. He's fucking fascinating and has great stuff to share. But he says that, teenagers that smoke weed have a higher incidence of like psychotic breaks. And it's like can bring on psychotic breaks. I mean, I have a friend who like became bipolar because of weed. So watch out there. Yeah. So what do you do? What happens when you do weed now? Do weed? I
don't. I haven't smoked in a long time. The last time I smoked was the first Thanksgiving that I was actually in LA. I was in LA. I just moved because I just moved here to work on Not Safe. And the way it worked was the show was ramping up like the week after Thanksgiving.
Right. And so it's one last weekend to get high.
Yeah, and so I got here,
get to work.
But I had to move to LA, so I got here like the week before Thanksgiving. So I couldn't like go home just for Thanksgiving. I needed to be. So I was alone in LA on Thanksgiving.
What about your rat friend?
Yeah,
I didn't have any friends.
Around?
I didn't even have a rat friend at this time.
Was your wrist or your ankle healed at this point?
Oh yeah,
or
I was healed. I was completely healed. Jason Signs. Good comedian. He
fell through a window.
He fell through a window. And he
tragically.
He
got very, very injured. Is he still in a wheelchair?
He's paralyzed. He's in a wheelchair. Yeah.
Oh,
fell through a skylight.
Oh, I couldn't
great guy though.
that.
Really
funny. GoFundMe. I remember that.
It's
actually a terrible story.
Partially inspiring.
He donated a box of Band-Aids.
He fell through a skylight with a girl he was dating, and they both fell together, and they both got grievously injured, and now they're married.
They're married?
Oh my God.
They're married.
Trauma
it was like a
bonding.
second date. Yeah.
That is the worst meet cute ever, but also great story. Okay, wait. Let's find out what happened to Brian when he got high before Thanksgiving, the week before work started on his brand new job, his first job in comedy, right after this. All right, we're back. So Brian, it's during Thanksgiving, the week before you're starting a job. You have no friends except Jason Signs, who later fell through a window grievously. And we wish him. We're not making fun of that. It's just the story that happened. Okay, tell us what happened with the weed.
Well, Jason got me weed. I was like, I need weed. He was like the only guy I knew in town, and he was so nice. He got me weed, and then my whole plan was just so I wouldn't be sad and alone on Thanksgiving was I was going to get a bunch of snacks and food, smoke a lot of weed, and then watch the Bourne series, the Bourne movies all in a row.
Wait, but you hadn't done weed since or had you experimented before with it since the pool jumping experience? Did you know what you were in for to smoke weed and watch Bourne?
I had smoked a ton of weed. I smoked weed almost every day in high school. I worked at that deli. Remember that deli? I worked at
yes,
deli.
Where the guy hit you in the butt with a broom?
Yeah, he shoved the broom at my butt, and I'd smoke a joint and look at his porn stash. That was my childhood.
Yes. Don't cut your hair. Don't care. Take care. Don't cut your hair.
Yeah, take care. Brush your hair. Singed in my brain forever.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. So
I smoked weed all the time. And
why did you do that? Did it not give you, sorry, backtracking a little bit, did it not give you that effect later on where you were like, I hate this? You started to like it?
The very first time I had a freak out, and then and then the second and third time I got used to it, and then I started really enjoying it, and then I smoked weed every day.
That's how it works.
Yeah, smoked weed every day, and I got stupid. I did the thing that all the parents told me was going to happen. I got stupid. Yeah. And I could tell because I was taking the PSATs and then eventually the SATs. And I wasn't smoking weed when I took the PSAT and I got a high score. And then the second time I took the PSAT, I was smoking weed and I got a lower score.
Like you were smoking weed in your life or like you were high for the test?
In my life. I was smoking every day and the residual effect was carrying over. And my SAT score just kept going down and down even though I kept taking it. You're supposed to get better the more you take it.
It's the opposite of your tolerance levels. Yes.
Then I remember I was driving to the deli one day and I was at a red light and the light turned green and I didn't realize it turned green.
Yes. I
just sat there until it went back to red and people were honking. And then I was like, I have got to stop smoking so much weed.
Yeah. That's what happens to me whenever I start again and I start doing it regularly. There always reaches a point where I've told this story before, but I think I was the last time I like quit for a really long time. I was smoking a lot actually. It was just like what I needed to get through the day. It was just like at the time what the crutch I needed to get through because weed for me gives me a burst of energy at first. Like I do it, I crave it before I go for a run, before I go on stage. Like I think it's the creeping anxiety of feeling like I'm not going to have the energy to do this thing. It's like instead of coffee, caffeine has the same effect weed does, but to a lesser degree. Weed just instantly. Coffee you got to wait like an hour or whatever, and then it keeps you up all night. Weed eventually puts you to sleep. Like you get through it, and then you get sleepy probably an hour after. This is for me, but you do start to realize it does make you dumber. If I were a parent, talking about being a parent, and if I were to be a parent, I would keep my kids' brains that are developing the fuck away from weed. They can smoke as much as they want when they become adults and they're past 25 and their brains are fully formed. Yes, it will make them stupid after that, but at least their brain isn't not formed, right? Like it's, I think it's very detrimental for teens to smoke weed. Once in a while, fine. Like I'm going to turn a blind eye and be like, if you kids do it here so I can watch and have some. But yeah, I remember one time watching I was filming The Bachelorette with my phone and I was trying to make a joke on my Instagram story. And they used to be 15 seconds. Remember stories were 15 seconds. And I said, if you can't think of something funny in 15 seconds, no more weed for you, because it's a timing issue. It's a quickness issue. Like you said, lights will turn green and then you will go wait after. There's like, when you're on weed, there's a 3-second delay. If you're like constantly putting your brain through that every single day.
And you're a comedian. Often. You're going on stage. You can't wait 15 seconds to come up with something funny.
No. And so and I'm already a very quick person or fast person. So I can take a little bit of that and it like is, it's fine and you can't notice it. And sometimes weed, let me just say, does the opposite for me. It makes me think, it hits me in this perfect way that I've timed it right with the caffeine. It reminds me of actually John Mulany talking about balancing his Adderall and his Xanax.
Of that.
In this interview he did on Theo's podcast, where he's like, he has the perfect amount of like, I have this much Adderall and this much Xanax, and it gets me to the perfect version of myself, which used to be just myself before I was doing drugs, but now I have to do this perfect combination. And so sometimes it's like magical and it unlocks this great part of my personality and everything's like firing, but it definitely definitely, that was the moment. And I go, it clocked down to 15 seconds, had nothing. And I go, I got to stop. And then I stop for months, and then I, fucking start again because, I want to feel something. I want to or I want to feel nothing, whichever it is. It just seems like, why wouldn't I? And then you kind of start to think of I'm never going to feel a little bit kooky ever again. Like the only thing that's going to make me kooky is if I have Anya sometimes gets kooky from sugar because she's so sober. She'll have a cookie and be like, woo! And jumping, doing twirls and triple sow cows. And I'm just how innocent is that? Where Anya, sugar is so, it can
and
make
tea.
her.
Give
and
me my
tea.
Oh, yeah.
But is that caffeine?
Yes, dude.
Okay, so it's not
I'm
tea,
jealous
it's
of
caffeine.
your guys' marijuana journey because my only setting on weed is just super hypochondria, depressed, and then major overeater.
You gotta smoke through that.
I ate an entire
You just gotta smoke through, bro.
you do carrot cake ones.
Yeah.
A 10-inch cake. And then it was just what's going to happen, you guys? I was in the corner of a party just
it's not
begging
good.
people what's going to happen in my life.
Except that when it is, I really do feel like weed has helped me medicinally not want to fucking kill myself before. It's really jolted me
For
out
stuff
of that.
like that, it's great. Yeah.
I, honestly, I'll tell you, weed has definitely harmed my life in ways and probably bad for my brain. It decreases blood flow. It's bad for your brain. But sometimes it instantly zaps me out of literal, suicidal depression. So I don't know really what to make of that. If anyone has any science behind that to support me or make me feel better about it, please send it my way. But okay, Brian, bored
can help
identity,
you with pain
all the
too.
snacks.
It can help you with pain too. And
psychological pain, honestly.
Yes. There was a hilarious study though that came out last year that tested whether or not you get more creative when you smoke weed.
And it's
that's what it's no. You
it's a
do
big
not.
no.
People just think that they're more creative. They're like, I have this great idea. And it's you're just high and you think that idea is good. And then you wake up and you look at your paper the next morning and you're like, dogs have shoes.
Right. Well, can I just say this? I agree with that. There's sometimes I write a brilliant joke on weed, but it's probably the exception to it. But I will say that at least it gets me writing. It gets me excited about ideas. And that can turn into something, because sometimes when I'd rather be excited about dumb ideas and just have that feeling of I like creating, I like writing things down, I like jotting things down, and have it be trash, because that can carry over. So I do think it makes the quality is worse, but sometimes I just need to, Anya, we were even talking yesterday about you just wrote a song and it was hard for you at first because you were I hate this. And you were I realized I have to write 4 drafts. Oh. I just have to be ready to write a bad song 4 times. And then the 5th time it'll be good, or somewhere around there. How true is that? I give up so often on first try, and especially with songwriting. I'm if this sounds fucking cheesy and lame and oh, she's trying to write a song, I will abandon it right away. I am not, because I've never gotten to the other side. So I have no idea what it's like to write a good song. But that's so true for the creative process of you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You got to know that being uncomfortable equals you're on to something good.
Yeah. Anne Lamott said that. She said, write a shitty first draft. And just that freed me up. Oh, okay. The first draft is supposed to be shitty. It's the perfectionism that will kill you. Truly successful people embrace failure, and they see it as part of the process, and that it's integral to part. You cannot succeed unless you have a few failures before that. So they welcome the failure. And for me, a failure is a shitty first draft.
Yeah, failure is so. Taylor Swift said it at the iHeart Awards that I went to. It was you don't see it, but I fail so often, and we're no, we've seen some. No, actually, we haven't. She seems perfect. Everything she does, there's never a flaw that I see, but I know there's just no way she hasn't. And even you listen to her first album and you go, okay, she was 13 at the time, so I think I'll cut her some slack. But you've seen her improve, and you've seen, I have to follow my own advice, I think, and be okay with creating something shit. But it's so uncomfortable because to get any feedback, you have to show someone, and you have to show someone your crap.
I know,
and that's
embarrassing.
embarrassing.
The hardest part. I'm writing this song with someone, and he He's talented in an area where I have not that much experience. He makes movie trailer songs. So I have felt a little bit like, I'm sure you guys have felt this way before when you write like for a contract or for an ad or something, or for a different writer. I'm like, what do you think of this? And he's like, not really, not that, but I like that, but I don't like that or that. Or can you change? And it's just like,
yeah, you've never had to like,
demoralizing.
if you're writing for yourself, you're just like, I don't like that. I like
Right.
that. And it's not as hurtful. Someone
I find
else's
it
opinion
easier.
is so much harder.
I find it
Really?
easier writing for someone else because then it's up to them. You know, it's like I'm going to write as much shit as I can and like they choose what they're going to go with instead of me being responsible for what the right answer is.
And that's a
Right.
great attitude. Yeah. If
It
I
is.
sometimes I lose the passion for it though. I'm like, what am I writing? Like, I don't, like I want to write something I'm psyched about, but then I do. And then the other person's like, okay, this is about heartbreak and blah, blah, blah. We actually need to write something more open-minded about hope. I'm like, hope? I don't write about hope.
Right.
And so I have to kind of like change my tack and be like, how can I make this fun for myself? And then,
Then you smoke some weed.
then I
and
smoke some weed
boom.
and then everything's good.
And then it's fun.
But it worked
Okay,
out.
what happened with-
Yesterday, it all worked out.
Good. You got through.
I smoked a bunch of weed. But the problem, this is back to Thanksgiving. You're going to ask me what happened?
Yeah.
So I smoked a bowl and I packed this bowl tight. I don't know if that's how you say it, but I packed it real tight and
Too
I
tight.
smoked. I
Oh.
packed it so tight and then I smoked the whole thing and I did that stupid rookie move where I smoked a bunch and I said, I'm not high yet. And then I smoked
Yeah, that's
some
usually
more.
with edibles. You got to wait like 30 seconds.
Here's what
Edibles,
I did.
understand. It takes like an
I
hour to
smoked
kick
the
in.
bowl. I held it up and I said, if I have 15 seconds, if I'm not high in 15 seconds, I'm
I
smoking
bet you
again.
did do that. Yeah.
And I
Okay, so
smoked,
you did
I
a little
got
too much.
blitzed out of my mind. I made pumpkin pancakes and they weren't, I made the pancakes and the pan wasn't even on. So there was just like gooey batter in a pan.
Right.
And I ate all these snacks and I watched the Bourne movies and these are not complicated films. I could not follow them at all. Who is this
it
man?
makes you stupid. Yeah.
Why is this guy punching this guy? I don't know what's happening. And then I
you
will
were
say
like
this.
what comics describe their girlfriends who watch Bourne Identity movies as doing. Like the classic of like, wait, who is that guy and why is he doing that? Yeah.
Enough. Okay, that's a whole nother thing. Is
Sure.
those types of questions during movies where it's like my least favorite question is when someone asks a question about a movie that the movie just hasn't told us yet.
Right. Yes.
It's like just watch it. I'm watching it with you.
That's why I love watching stuff with Chris because we keep the remote right between us. And I can feel when he's about to be like, hold on, we got to talk about like his hand just goes over and I get excited because then we get to pause it and like
Yes.
talk about what just happened, what we think is going to happen next. We're always on the same page about, it's always with Succession. I'll go, wait, what does it mean
Yes.
cash on credit? What does it mean cash stocks? Whatever the fucking line is that I'm like, and why are they trying to get Mattson to do and then he'll explain it to me. We theorize. Yesterday we watched Succession and John Mullaney's special and we paused so many different times to assess and like analyze and it's so fun. But yeah, and he puts up with my questions that are like, well, they haven't told us that, Nikki. Like he's very
Yes.
good about not getting frustrated and I really appreciate that. But yes, you're right. It is annoying.
Assessing and analyzing is fun, and
It's
and
so fun.
the right show. Shit talking
Because
is great.
I get bored. I can't just steadily. I need to switch up my mediums in person, back to the screen, back to my phone, researching something on my phone. Like I'm like TikToking. I need it to like change. I can't just stare at a screen for an hour without any kind of like, analysis. I like that's what they do in sports. They take a break. They cut to those old men
That's
that used
the
to play
best
football.
Part of sports.
Yes, is the
best part of
analysis.
sports is they give you a chance to just let it all settle. And then you and
Okay.
your bros can be like, so
Yes.
what do you think? Is he gonna throw
Why
it or
don't
is he
we-
gonna
Yeah.
run?
We need this in movies. We need intermissions.
They should
Yes.
they used to have intermissions in movies. They
They-
would have the 15 minutes you could
They
go
should
out.
now because they're longer than ever.
They should.
All right.
And you
So
can just Well, the
So
thing
you
I
haven't
wanted to
done
say
weed
about
since
the
then.
food is when I was eating and watching the Bourne movies,
Mhm.
I ate all the snacks in the world. I got every snack in Trader Joe's. I got the Swedish fish. I got the bunch of Swedish fish.
Pretzels filled with Swedish fish. Like, oh yeah.
And the thing that tasted the best without question
Okay.
was an apple.
Oh my god.
An apple. It was an explosion of juice.
Best. I think apples are the greatest food because you're right. There is an explosion of juiciness. It's not too juicy. It's not like running down your hand and your wrist and like
Yes.
making your shirt all sticky. It's just a crunchy, a succinct, encapsulated flavor burst, but it also
Yes.
is hydrating,
Yes, that's the 100%.
but not without being too juicy. It's great.
Did you guys
Apples
have
are
this
amazing.
phenomenon when you were high that I had where I know I keep going back to the overeating. I could not feel satiated. I mean, I really did eat a whole cake and I was like, why am I not getting full? And I was asking everyone at this party, like, do you guys have that? I could not feel full. Do you?
I think that's more an eating disorder than the weed. Because didn't
Why
you have
do
that with
people have
cookies
the
before?
munchies?
Because I think it makes food taste better. Maybe.
Oh.
Stimulates your it stimulates your appetite. That's why if you have cancer or
Okay.
something like that, they might say smoke weed to get you to eat.
It doesn't
But-
stimulate mine, thank fucking God. I mean, I would stay far away from it if it did, but it doesn't curb it. It doesn't do anything. It just is like, I want to just like pick up a guitar and play music. I want to go for a run. I want to like work on
Wow.
a project.
Yeah,
I
so
don't
many
want to
people
sit and
love
watch
to
a
work out.
movie. Yes.
Lift
Yes. I
weights.
love it. Oh, what I've done before is I go downstairs and I am walking on a treadmill and I hold the sides of the treadmill and I close my eyes. At what point in your life have you ever been walking with your eyes closed? It's fucking
Oh, that's
awesome.
cool.
It's really fun, but you can do that on a treadmill because you know the pace, you know where you're not going and you're not going to hit anything. And it's the only time in life that you can ever walk with your eyes closed. And you get to be kind of blind for a little bit. And it's really
I want to do that with my car.
do it.
That's a fantasy.
Wait. Hold on. Please.
I've done that before, walking without the treadmill, just to see what happens. And
To see how far you can get?
I assess like, okay, there's no like potholes or something I could fall off a cliff, but then I do close my eyes and just start walking and see if I,
Outside, like in
yeah,
public.
like in
Our
Penn
friend Sarah
Station. or
Lena-
something.
one
just gonna
time-
say.
Our friend Sarah Lena blindfolded herself when she moved to New York when she was like 17 because she was like, I want to know what it's like to be blind. And she blindfolded herself on, I think, Houston Street, like in the Lower East Side, and
Very
was
busy
walking down busy street. And she started on like a bike rack and was just along a fence, like walking blindfolded
This
for
isn't.
over an hour.
Picture a blindfolded 15-year-old model.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Walking, and she really did it for a really long time. It was like, that is one story
She's
about
so
her that I'm
cool.
just like, she is so cool. Who would ever do that? But she wanted to just feel like what it was like to be blind. It was a very empathetic thing to do. So Brian, I hear you have a story about a man in a shoe, which honestly, when you told us about this, it sounded like a bedtime riddle, but
Yes.
A
please.
fable.
Yeah, the old man in the shoe.
Yeah.
And then
Tell us what,
but-
are we going to learn a lesson in this? Is there going
The
to
end
be
of this,
some
there is a
takeaway?
lesson. There is a
Okay,
takeaway.
Great.
Yes. So I was playing, I was shooting hoops, which now we know historically I do. And I had my basketball shoes on and I was done shooting hoops. I was walking back.
This is
to my-
recent?
This has just happened a couple days ago.
Wait, when you're going to shoot hoops just by yourself,
Yeah.
what if you run into some people that are like playing a game? Do you go like, hey guys, can I, like, I never understand when guys just like will walk up, like what if your skill levels don't match? Like what if you're white and
you
they're
get
like black guys
walloped.
that are really good
You
and
get
you look like an
walloped.
idiot?
Yeah.
Do you
look
not
like an
care about
idiot.
looking like an idiot? I would just go, I guess I'm not playing basketball today because there's someone better playing.
I
I don't know about you, Anya.
I go to a spot where that wouldn't happen. Like there's no one ever there. And if
Okay.
there was, I feel like I'd just get injured. So like,
Do you ever go into pickup games? Like Chris will just like, I feel like, and Andrew used to just go and just anyone who's playing like, hey, can I get in? It's like, that is something I have no idea how. I would never do that. I could never join people doing something that they're skilled at that I might not be up to snuff. Like I would
Yeah.
never go go to like a jazz club
yeah.
and be like, can I just jam with you guys? Like I feel like I would just mess everything up and they'd make fun of me after.
My dad does that a lot. He's a trumpet player, and we'll go around in Mexico when we're there, and he'll just like be like, he'll have his trumpet out and be watching a band and sitting so they can see him, and then they like give him the nod, like,
right, like,
and then he's like, okay, cool, I'm going, and he's nervous. It's cute.
Double Dutch.
I feel like guys have this in their male culture a lot. Like Sam Morril will do this in New York a lot. He always talks about like just going to the basketball place, and then I'm like, aren't you nervous? He's like, no, people just invite you in on the game and you just play.
Yeah, I want to know this culture. I don't understand
this is
it.
dude culture. This men
They just
don't
because
make
you guys
friends.
don't. Yeah, you don't have friends, so
I
there's
can't
no
just
risk
go up-
of like I have to stay friends with these guys.
Oh,
you can just,
no,
it's
not
one
at
night
all.
stands. It's
And
the way
like
gay
all-
men like have sex. There's no like strings attached, so they just have sex all the time.
They get the
all
nod.
the time.
Just
But
give them the nod.
men are just like, it's transactional. It's not like there has to be anything after this. So gay men like are having more sex than anyone because they're both agreeing like this is just a fleeting thing, no emotions involved if we don't need it. I'm not saying all gay men are like this. Please don't think that I'm, blanket statementing. But I think for the most part, men don't form bonds. It's like in and
No.
out.
Yeah, so
I'm
tell
the
us about your gay
opposite.
basketball experience.
Yeah,
with this
so
old man.
gay. Yeah.
So I go to the basketball court and I ask guys, do you want to fuck? No strings attached. And then we fuck and then I never see them again. And sometimes it's sad. But I think with dudes, it's like you wouldn't go up to any guys and be like, you want to hang out. You want to be my friend. But you will go, you want to ball. And I think that's the replacement. Whereas I don't know what women do, but I'm assuming that women
What
would
if
be more
you
likely
suck,
to.
though? Do you feel confident about your skill? Because I guess maybe I need to talk to a guy that like likes basketball but feels he sucks. The way I feel about guitar and singing, like I love it just as much as anyone who probably plays for a living loves it. But I know I suck, so I would never try to get in on someone else's game.
Yeah,
You
if
know
I
what I mean?
sucked, I wouldn't do it.
Unless
It would
they
be-
were my friends and they all understood that I knew I suck. Like sometimes I'll sing and play with Anya, but she knows that I don't think I'm better than her or Matt. But I just need everyone to know that I know I'm shit. And then, but I feel like inherently walking up and being like, can I play? Can I ball? Like they might go like, oh, this guy's probably good. And then you saw like, do you have to watch them first and kind of go like, can I fit in here?
I feel at least until I can't anymore. I feel like right now I could go ball with most people who are just casually playing.
Okay.
If they're like
What
dunking,
confidence?
if they're on West 4th Street in New York
Yes.
City, there's a basketball court. You walk by the Comedy Cellar all the time. That's that court right
Yeah.
there. Those guys are too good. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't
Don't
play
even
with them.
Impossible.
Okay.
Just watch. That's for entertainment purposes. But for the most part, across the world, and even outside, you can go up to any court and you could play ball, and you don't have to be that good. And I feel like I
I'm gonna
tried
start
to.
trying to ball. I
Did
would
they
love
say no
with my
ever?
skill set.
You should try to ball. I mean,
Yeah. Do they ever say no?
Like, are they ever
everyone's
like,
always looking for. Actually, it's happened before. There is a comedians game every Saturday in LA. Yeah, where you there's like literally like 60 people go to that game on Saturdays.
That's too
And
many comedians,
sometimes
to
you
exist
get
in one city.
what happens that's sad is like sometimes you get like you're the worst one and you have to sit out, and then you're just there and you're
So
the
they
worst.
pick teams, and you don't get
They
picked.
do it. Usually it's with you line up and you shoot free throws, and the last person to hit a free throw is out, and that's
Ooh.
really sad. Yeah. But anyway, the old man in the shoe. I was walking back from playing basketball and my shoe was untied.
How long did you play for? I'm sorry to keep.
Well, when I'm shooting around by myself, I'll play for like 30 to 40 minutes.
Wow, and you're just shooting,
I have headphones
and you're like,
in.
are you meditative and thinking about things? Like, what is? Could you compare? Like, is it? It's relaxing. It's.
I do my
Are you working on a
drills.
skill? Okay, you drill.
I do my drills. I'll shoot, take a step back, shoot, and then I'll just pretend like I'm a basketball player, and I'll be like, oh, I'm 3 seconds left, and I'll do that,
Okay.
and that's pretty fun. And then
do
sometimes
you
I'll
think
imagine
maybe people are watching you, and does that inspire you to be better? Like, if someone walks
Sometimes.
by, do you sometimes like get your act together a little bit, and depending on their race, you try even
It's-
harder?
It's so delusional. Sometimes someone will be walking by like with their kid in a stroller, and I'll be like, I better hit this shot to impress this person.
I do anything better if I think someone's watching. Yeah. If I imagine, that's why I wanted a reality show. I was like, I will just have a better life because I will always be the security guard at Taylor Swift watching me dance. I realized I'm having some burst of energy because this person is witnessing it. I need a witness. Can I get one?
Doesn't even have to be a person.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a squirrel, and there'll be a squirrel running around. I'll be like, I better hit this before the squirrel.
Yes. Yeah, that's why practicing sucks because you don't have an audience, and I don't like. I have to pretend I have an audience in order to practice efficiently.
I wish I
really.
Could. Oh, I would hate to practice in front of an audience. I love being alone and practicing alone. Let me perform in front of an audience. I don't want people to see my process.
Well, it's not fun for me to do anything that isn't getting me attention.
Right.
I guess that's a narcissist thing, or maybe like it's not. It just doesn't. It's like, what's the point? And I do things by myself constantly, but I just feel, I don't know I'm glad for it because it is what I realized when I was at that Taylor Swift show of like how it made me dance harder to see that the security guard might see me and like laugh at what I was doing. I realized my whole life is inspired by all I want to do is perform. That's like it. Life, if even sex, like if I pretend like, I mean, there's someone there usually watching me, but if masturbation, however, don't want anyone to see that. That is the only time where I go, I could sit this one out, God. Like, don't check in here. But everything else in my life, performing is. What is that? That's such a selfish and like it's a gross thing to admit.
There's a lack of shame there. Because like if you're practicing and you're not good, I would not want people to see me. But if you don't have that part of you that's like, I don't care if people think I'm bad, then that's
I practice guitar on Instagram Live sometimes, and I am bad on there, and I'm really fucking up. But I'm like, these people I'm not forcing them to stay here. They can go. So if you're watching this, that's your fault. If you're not entertained or if you're like, why is she doing this? This is so lame. What the fuck are you doing watching me? That's even more lame. What are you? At least I'm getting something out of this. You're fucking watching. So unless people enjoy it, just leave. So if I was just to be like, Mom, Dad, watch me practice, which I've done before, or like watch this song I'm working on, I feel terrible because I'm forcing them. If they get up and walk away, I see them. It's embarrassing. That is a forced situation. But, when people are just voluntarily tuning in on an Instagram Live, I don't mind if they see the process. And I feel like it's freeing I think of it as like, this is inspiring other people to be bad at things. Sure. And it's okay to be bad at things.
I think it makes you better too. I do think whenever I perform a song in front of people and it's like the first time I've ever played it, no matter how well I do it that time, I always know that's the worst I'll ever play it. I'm definitely going to be better the next time because I had to sell it a little bit and I had to remember it on the spot. So it is a skill set, I think, that you're developing.
Yeah, I think it's practicing in front of an audience or like in some way that keeps you accountable is the best way to practice, I would think. In just even imagining that someone's watching you or that you're going to someone's going to watch this back would be a good mindset. But what do I know? I'm not a coach.
Or just
Old Man and Shoe.
Filming it to think you're going to post it somewhere. I mean, how many times do you...
filming it to watch yourself later on.
Oh yeah, all that stuff. It's the same thing as like you do open mics and you do comedy in front of other comedians, and then you do comedy in in front of a real audience, and it's like, man, you really need to practice in front of a real audience, not just.
Well, that's why I like comedy is because you you can't practice without an audience. There's no way to do it in front of a wall. There's a part of John Mulany's special where they're shooting him up close. You can tell because it's on a steady cam, which means a man is holding it strapped to his back and he's moving right in front of John's face. That part of the show had no audience there. And you can tell. You can just tell. We watched it twice because I'm probably going to do the same thing for my special because it's a great look. But comedians, if you don't have an audience there and you're pretending there's an audience there, something in your demeanor turns into a little bit actory. Like there's just a little switch. No slight on John. That special, by the way, was fucking incredible. I loved every second of it. And this shot is worth it. But it's just the tiniest thing that you can notice. It's in the setup to you'll know the shot. It's very close up and it pans around him. And you can tell that there's just not an audience. At least I can, because maybe I'm used to doing it. And if I were to tell my jokes to no audience, that's exactly how it would sound to me. And with a camera right in your face, which has never done stand-up like that before.
Yeah.
So yeah,
no
you
doubt
can't
the
do it
general
without.
population was not noticing that. Like, that's definitely your skill level and your experience.
But also the general population, don't you guys sometimes go, wow, that shot is really close? Obviously, there was a cameraman right there.
Yeah,
How
Matt
could they have
and I
done that?
paused last night and we were like, why did he do that? That was weird. We loved the special, but both of us were like, I don't know about why that shot had to happen.
Okay, well, we're going to take a break and we're going to come back and get the rest of the shoe and old man story. Let's talk about John Mulany's special.
Do you have an update on the AirPods?
Oh, yeah, and I have an update on the AirPods situation, Grace's AirPods. So we will return right after this. Okay, Brian, old man the shoe. You're walking back from the basketball court.
All right, and my shoe is untied, but I'm so close to my apartment that I'm like, I'm just going to let it be untied. I don't care.
You're one of those guys, yeah.
Yeah, and this
Are you watching it, though? When my shoe is untied, I'm terrified of tripping. Like, Andrew used to always have his shoe untied and just walk around. And I'm like, aren't you worried you're going to just take too short of a step on the shoelace and then trip? Like, but he wouldn't care. And I envied that, like, kind of lackadaisical approach to the shoelaces that
I assessed the risk. I assessed the risk because I was close enough to my apartment.
Like, flipped them when you walked.
I couldn't have. No, I mean, I knew I was close enough to my apartment that it really wasn't that big of a deal to have the shoe untied for like 35, 40 seconds. Okay. And it was annoying to bend over and tie it. And so this old man was walking in the other direction and I saw him see my untied shoelace and I was like, oh God.
Oh, there's nothing more an old man likes than telling a young man that his shoes are untied. Because first of all, he's angry at you. Like in his day,
how dare
no one could walk around with shoes untied like that.
No,
degenerate.
Yes.
So he
this guy
looks
probably
at me,
smokes pot,
and I have headphones in. He looks at me,
and you're out of tune with the world. You're staring at your phone. This guy
is wringing his hands. He just wants to say something to me.
Oh, he can't wait.
And he goes, he points down. He goes, look. He points down at my shoe, and I don't look at first. And then he waves his hand and points down at the shoe.
No.
And he does that thing where he goes like, take out your earphones. He's like acting like he's gonna save my life, and I just didn't want to tie it. And then I walk past him. I ignore him. This guy taps me on the shoulder.
He taps.
He taps me 3 times, and then
I'm
not going to ignore that. You know, he taps me on the shoulder. So I turn around, I take out my headphone, and he goes, "Your shoe is untied." And this is the lesson. I had a decision to make. An old version of me would be like, do I acquiesce to this old man? And do I tie the shoe even though I don't want to tie it? Or do I do what I want to do? And an old me would have just tied the shoe and then had to have been like, oh, thank you so much for saving my life and telling me I didn't realize my shoe was untied. Instead, I go, I don't want to tie it. And I walk away.
Oh my God.
I think there's a happy medium where you go, my house is right there. I know. Thank you, sir.
I took out a gun and I said, get the fuck away from me. I don't want to tie it. I said, I don't want to tie it.
Possum in your backyard, old man. I picture it's the same guy.
I feel so proud of myself because now I don't owe that man shit.
Yeah, well, this to me reminds me a lot of when I have a backpack that zips. Though the sole zipper, the main zipper, let's say, starts halfway up the backpack, right? So it doesn't go all the way down. There's no way that it's all going to come spilling out. It's a half zip, right? So I often leave it unzipped because all I have in there is stuff that I'm not going to I'm not going to do a cartwheel. So nothing's going to spill out of my backpack as I walk from terminal to terminal. If you are a girl and want people to talk to you, leave your backpack unzipped. I could not. You cannot get from Terminal B to Terminal C for your connecting flight without at least 5 men stopping to tell you and save the day. If I don't care, and sometimes it's a little pocket that's unzipped, and people go, by the way, and my noise canceling headphones that I stole from Grace, by the way, I still have not worn them. They're still on my kitchen counter. I have to find a case for them to give them to Taylor, but they are. You can't hear fucking anything with those things. I bet there are at least 100 people out there that think I'm the most rude woman because they either said hi or asked a question or did something very egregious and I just walked right on by them because I can't hear anything with those on. Nothing. Like someone could be screaming at you a foot from your head, and if you don't see them, you would not hear it. And so,
ma'am, this is not your flight.
Like that one time when that happened, that was the worst day of my life. So yeah, same thing. So it's the backpack thing. I know that there are listeners right now who are going, yes. Like, and if you're someone who doesn't care about your zippers being zipped tight, everyone needs to save the day. It's like, stop it. Just let me have an unzipped backpack. What do you think is going to happen? And also, everyone's so worried about everyone stealing everything from them all the time. No one wants your shitty things that are in your dumb backpack.
Your box of tissues.
Unless they're AirPods.
Well, those were left. I did not steal them. Like,
I'm kidding.
Here's another thing about that. I dare you. I dare you to try this. If you are someone who travels a lot in an airport, and you get to your gate early, drop your bags and go to the fucking bathroom. Drop your bags and go get a bagel. Drop your bags and go take a walk around. You don't need to stay with your bags at a gate.
I just started doing this.
Ever steal anything from you.
God.
Everyone in the airport has a ticket to go somewhere. They're not there to thieve.
What if a terrorist comes and puts a bomb in your bag?
That will never happen. And also, it will blow up on the plane that you're in, so it doesn't matter. You're dead. You're not going to be prosecuted. Nothing ever happens, ever. I don't care about any of the announcements of the woman saying, do not leave your bags unattended. I have been doing this, and I'm not joking, for 10 years. Every single time, and I fly twice a week at least, for 10 years, I will get to my gate, drop my guitar and my backpack and my purse. I don't even give a shit. Go to the bathroom. Never once has anything ever been stolen from me. I'm begging for it to be stolen because all my zippers are unzipped. I'm like, all you gotta do is reach your hand and you don't even have to fumble around with stuff.
No, I can't.
It will never ever happen. They will never confiscate your luggage. They will ever. I promise you.
There's nothing you could tell me that would ever make me leave my bags alone in the airport. It's drilled into my brain.
I'm not kidding you.
The woman on the announcer, how many times has she said it to me?
I know she does.
I've seen the TSA like go up to a bag after someone left it and confront the guy when he came back.
It's never happened to me. That bag must have been left for a while. Listen, I'm not leaving. I'm leaving it, and I put it next to someone who's already sitting there. And everyone always I love doing it because people think I'm fucking crazy, and they start worrying for me. And I'm just like, fuck you all for being little worry warts. Like you're like losing energy in your life by thinking My mom's like this. She thinks everyone wants to steal everything from her all the time. If you get stuff stolen, they're gonna find a way to steal it. It's not because you left it there. Anytime I've left a laptop at Starbucks, I've left a phone at a Starbucks, I've left a AirPod, I always get it back because I'm a lucky person and things work out for me. But also, and maybe the thing is, if a thief happens to come into the same Starbucks that you left a laptop, you're fucked. That's just bad luck. But most people don't thieve. They return things, unlike me with Grace's AirPods. But let me just say, wait, Anya, so you've tried this and now you do it? Because you see me do it every single time?
Yeah, I tried it the other day. I'm like, why am I lugging this fucking guitar to every time I have to go to the bathroom? I was traveling alone. Usually Matt watches my stuff for me, but I had a lot of stuff with me this one weekend. I think I was meeting up with you, Nikki. I had the merch.
Stop asking people to watch your stuff too.
Can you please watch my laptop while I go to the bathroom?
If you leave something, I'm not saying that's bad that you asked Matt because you're with him, but people who ask strangers to watch their stuff, just leave it. They know you
don't think a terrorist is going to pull that move? They'll use that move.
What if a terrorist puts drugs on your laptop while you're in the bathroom?
What is this? When has
You've been watching The Bourne Identity too much.
And by the way, TSA has never caught anyone. Does everyone know that the TSA that was instated in 2001 post 9/11 has never once caught any terrorist that was going to do something. Not once. The thousands and thousands of TSA agents that have been working for the past 21 years have never caught one person.
Oh, yeah.
So it's all
It's
a
security
sham.
theater. It's security theater.
Exactly.
The
But
man
you
with the
don't-
shoe. You remember the shoe bomber?
Yeah, they didn't catch him. They
there was
let
a
him
guy.
through.
They let him through, and a guy on the plane said, "You're trying to light your shoe on fire," and the passenger stopped him.
Exactly. They've never caught anyone. All they do is catch you with shampoo bottles and they go, "Do you want to finish this?" And it's like, what does that even mean? No, keep it. I just bought a $21 bottle of it's just like it's so annoying. And they always act like you're already in trouble. They make you feel if you beep going through the thing, they're like, okay, step aside. It's like, I know I'll step aside. You don't have to yell at me about it. And it's just they just have thank God for them because they are trying to keep us safe. They're just doing their jobs and they are doing a job that is thankless. We all like kind of hate them. And so they're constantly dealing with people who are like disgruntled. So I have a lot of love for TSA agents, but you've never done you've literally never prevented anything. Can you imagine having a job where you've never done your job?
They prevented me from having toothpaste on my trip.
Yeah, but it's so funny to me that we have this thing that has never once stopped anything for 21 years.
21 years.
It's been pointless. But you know, one would say that the them being there prevents things. Like people don't try things even
That's the
because
theater.
they're there.
It's a deterrent to bringing a bomb.
Yeah,
on
so
the plane.
that is something. Okay, so then, so what happened with headphones? I stayed at the same hotel, the Lowe's in Hollywood, the other day, and I was in the same lobby where I found Grace's AirPods, and I ordered Uber Eats to my hotel, and I love this hotel. I love the Lowe's. It's a great organization. It's whatever they're doing to train their employees. Bravo. It's not too over the top. They're just helpful, nice, happy you're there. Even if you're not a customer, they're just happy. And they have a great spot where they leave the Uber Eats. Usually every hotel's like, wait, you got food delivered? It's like, yeah, this has been around for 10 years. Food delivery, like have a place for it. They're always confused. Well, maybe they brought it up to your room. Maybe they never know. Lowe's has a table for them where it's like, that's where the food goes. And yes, people could steal it, but do they? No. I'm sure it's happened a couple times. But stop being like, oh, we got to go down right away. They might steal our food. No one wants to steal your food. Stop. Everyone's so paranoid about things being stolen from them. I think this is an American thing because I just don't think pickpockets happen. Like if you go to Europe, but they're stealing off of your body. These aren't people aren't just waiting for you to leave your laptop and go to the bathroom to steal your laptop. I know I'm going to get tons of messages being like, actually, my laptop did get stolen.
My laptop got stolen. Someone threw a brick through my car window and stole $5,000 worth of stuff.
Listen to what they did. They threw a brick through your window. That person did something crazy. There's nothing you could have done. So stop trying to have control over it, I guess is what I'm saying.
I could have taken my stuff with me. That's the difference. I could have not had it in the car.
Think about all the times you would have to take your stuff with you to everywhere you go because you're so scared of it getting stolen. It's such a fucking hassle. I would rather pay $1,100 in a laptop than for the rest of my life lug everything with me and check doors constantly. Think of how much time everyone wastes in their life of checking. Oh, did I lock that door?
Oh,
people are constantly going around to each door and like after they've locked it and like checking it. And I'm always like, whenever I see that person, I go, what a life. This person must like they lock the door, then they check the lock, then they go. And I know some of that's OCD and that is beyond your control, and that's a whole different thing. But I just wish everyone would kind of just calm down a little bit about stuff. But I also that's my personality is like, why is everyone so nervous about things all the time? And I am therefore nervous about people being nervous about things. So I'm doing the same thing. So
I walk my dog 3 times a day and I don't lock my door anytime I leave to walk him. I don't even take my keys.
Yeah.
Well, that's how the Night Stalker gets in.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, that old man's coming back.
Yeah, I sometimes don't. I started locking my door because Chris like painted some kind of scenario that could happen, and I was like, oh God, that doesn't sound. I don't want to be raped today. So every day I just go, I don't feel like getting raped today, so I just give it a good lockaroo. But so anyway, I ordered Uber Eats, and I'm doing some sets, and so I ordered it to perfectly arrive like right before I get there, and I walk in, no food, and it said it had delivered, and it sent me a picture of it, but then the picture I couldn't pull up. So I'm at the front desk and I'm like, and they're like, it's over there. And I'm like, it's not over there on your perfect little Uber Eats table. And I was like, thank you for that table, but it's not there. And they are so concerned. They're like, well, they don't bring it up to the room. We don't allow them up to the room because this. And I was like, it's okay. I actually ordered from 2 places because I wanted like a lot to choose from. So I get a dinner tonight. It's going to be here in 5 minutes. So that food arrives. And as I'm sitting there, I'm like, fucking Grace, man. Like, this is karma coming back. Like, I ordered, let's be honest, it wasn't AirPods, but it was a lot of food. And I was like, in the same lobby that I stole Grace's headphones, it all came back around. Karma does happen. It does come back around. But then I went up to my hotel room and it was sitting in front of my door. So, sorry, Grace.
That was so poetic.
Still got your headphones. I really did have this moment of like, I'm glad that someone stole my food. Like, that makes sense to happen in this scenario. I deserve that.
Wait, so if Grace searches for you now, like if you were in LA and Grace was in LA and she's like searching for her headphones, would she see they're back in LA and would she be able to find them?
Yeah, but I would never have them with me because I don't use them. They cause me too much, and I already have 2 pairs of AirPods, which is the greatest thing to do for yourself because they're always one in the case that are charging, and when yours die, they're just ready to go, and then you can charge the other. It's just the best plan. You can never go without AirPods. But no, I already final thought. Grace is not able to track them because they're dead on my counter right now. And I'm waiting to find a case or like get a case, and then I'm going to put them in them and give it to Taylor because she doesn't have a problem owning things that are hot. But I did put on my Instagram story. I posted the clip of me talking about Grace's headphones, and I said, Grace, if you're out there, I will ship them to you overnight.
Where is she? What happened to her?
I cannot believe she has not heard this.
Has she vanished? I mean, if she was on a toilet and then her AirPods just on the ground.
That is the weirdest thing. I think Grace was actually in possession of 2 AirPods because I think when your AirPods are in and you drop your other AirPods, you're not hearing them hit the ground because your noise is canceled. So she did not hear that. She's someone that also has 2 pairs of AirPods because she had some in and didn't hear them hit the ground. You wouldn't hear a piano crash from 4 stories in front of you when you have your AirPods in with the noise cancellation mode. So she definitely didn't hear them scatter on the floor.
And that's
where's the case? Where was the case? I checked for it everywhere. They were dropped as if they were dropped from a case. They were like, one was over there, one was over here, and
Here's
their
what happened.
little case is
I have
gone.
it.
Okay.
Grace was using the stall. She had her purse, and she didn't care about her zippers being zipped all the way. The purse tilted as she was squatting.
Oh my God.
And the AirPods fell out.
Where's the case, Noah? Where's the fucking
It's in her blazer pocket. I know this because I accidentally dropped an iPhone out of a cool, oversized blazer into the toilet because I was squatting over the toilet, not sitting on it. And I just heard plunk, and there was my phone in the toilet.
Oh, no.
But why would the AirPods be out of the case? Here's what I think
that all
happened.
the
I just
time.
figured
Probably
it
had
out.
them in and just took them out just to use the bathroom or something.
But then she would know they were out of her ear, and then she would hear them hit the ground, is what I'm saying. They were on the ground right in front of the bathroom stall, and the bathroom stall shut all the way to the ground. Like, this is the low, so this is a nice bathroom.
Maybe they hit the ground as the bathroom stall door was closing.
Oh.
At the same time.
They fall.
Maybe she was puking, and so she was on her knees, and so they didn't fall. They just slid out.
There's no way to slide because it goes all the way to the ground. No, it goes all the way to the ground, and they were outside the stall. Do you know what I'm saying? The door goes all the way to the ground.
She took the pods out and put them on the ground so that somebody would find them and feel bad. Maybe
and
this
have
is her
content for their podcast.
She did this for us.
Well,
I do want to say for people who feel bad about Grace, though, is that this is a pretty nice hotel. It's not like you took these off the ground with like a Holiday Inn Express or something. So she's probably fine.
And her name's Grace. That is some fucking. That's an expensive name. It is. That's a name
$50.
where your daddy's rich and he got you this AirPod. And I'm guaranteeing you she already had another pair in because you would have heard it. So I think she's a 2 AirPod lady anyway, and she deserves to listen. Returning them to the front desk, I'm guaranteeing you the person at the front desk would have just taken them and like and she wouldn't have come back for them. And also, here's what happened. Sometimes when you drop your AirPods, they spill out of the case and then the case closes.
Yes.
Oh.
And then you see the case and you think they're still in there. That is probably what happened.
Wow.
So, case closed on this.
Literally. Yeah.
Literally.
Bum, bum, bum.
Oh my God. Okay. So this weekend I'm going to Tucson tomorrow. I'm going to do a photo shoot with a newspaper naked. Oh my God.
And then you're
just
going to be
don't-
gasping in front of a tragic event on a newspaper.
Yeah, like the Hindenburg. Like, what could be like something that
That
I'm
would be
gasping
hilarious. If you did the
J-Lo
Hindenburg, if you did some
admits
ancient
she
news story.
eats. J-Lo admits plastic surgery. Yeah. J-Lo, like, what's something that I would be shocked by? Taylor Swift. I mean, asks Nikki Glaser to become a backup singer on
And
tour.
dancer.
What about an
And
Ozempic?
dancer. I
An
can do that too.
Ozempic thing.
Oh yeah. Ozempic. I don't know. My Ozempic, like, man, everyone be on that shit, man. And now there's other companies making the same thing. Everyone's gonna be thin now. Everyone, get ready. Just wait for
Thin
it.
and bruised in the abdomen.
Yeah, I mean, I would take it. Who cares about being bruised in the abdomen if you can be thin, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, but people would shoot themselves in the head to have a thin body. They would literally blow a hole in their head to have a thin. People would do anything. Think of what people do to be thin. A little shot in your stomach. That's nothing.
Yeah.
And you just. But the problem with Ozempic is it curbs your appetite. Don't fat people like to eat? Like, don't you? If someone told you you were going to lose the desire to hug your children, wouldn't that kind of bum you out? Like, this thing you like doing, wouldn't you be sad that you lose it? Like, that's why I don't like ADD meds, is because they make me lose my appetite. And yeah, I'll lose some weight, but I also will not have any desire to do this thing I once loved to do.
But what if
It
you
kind
have
of-
the
that makes me
desire
sad.
to hug your children so much that it's like affecting their lives and like you're
And they
on
can't
top of
eat.
them? They can't eat. I mean, then you would
You
probably
squeeze them too hard.
you
Disassociating.
squeeze them too hard.
Oh
and then
yeah,
they
they start to disassociate.
get bruises on their abdomen because you hug them so hard.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you
I
then
mean-
want to take a pill to maybe hug a little less?
Yes, I think that, but I don't know. As someone who used to starve myself to be thin, I have no interest in not liking food. It bums me out. Anything that is like, this will curb your appetite. I'm like, ew, why would I want that? I like liking food. I don't know. It just,
Yeah, it's like Sebastian
doesn't make sense to me.
Maniscalco's whole thing about like why he took the vaccine was not for his own health or for your health. It was because he heard, like all Italians, you're going to lose your sense of taste and smell. And he's like, oh, I do not want to get this COVID thing. Like, I will get vaccinated
Yes,
because I'm
that was
Italian.
the-
I love food.
losing a sense of smell was a huge threat. It was like dying, whatever. I'm not scared of that. But losing my sense of smell or having things taste like vomit for the rest of my life. Some people like things tasted disgusting. I was like, I don't want that. Let's talk about John Mulany special real quick. Did you watch it, Brian?
Yeah.
My God, this thing is probably it did well yesterday. I mean, it came out yesterday and 3 out of 4. Did you watch it, Noah?
No, I haven't had a chance yet.
Well, 3 out of 4 people here. I don't blame you. I mean,
I
it's
haven't
absurd
finished
to
it.
watch.
I'm 10 minutes from the end, which is interesting because it was very
It felt like it was
vulnerable,
over.
deep, big. And I was like, this is heavy. Not heavy like, oh, it's hard, but it's like, this is real shit. And I could see why Matt and I both, he was like, we were an hour and 10 minutes in or something. It was long.
Yeah, it's an hour and 20.
And he was like,
Yeah.
I'm tired. Can we go to bed? And I was like, yeah, we'll look forward to it tomorrow. But it was a lot to chew on.
I exactly at that moment went to the bathroom and was like, Chris, I'm hungry. Like, I want to go get dinner. And he was just like, there's 10 minutes. He like screamed to me while I was on the toilet. He's like, there's 10
really?
minutes left. And I was like, okay, I can do it. And I was glad that I finished it in one thing because it was
It's long. It's like an hour
shit I
and
was
30
taking.
minutes.
Yeah, no. It was an hour 20, I believe, which is
Yeah.
very long for a special, but it was really well done. It looks amazing. He just tells the story of he starts with his intervention, and then it just walks you through his addiction and his recovery and, you know, embarrassing things he did along the way when he was an addict. And it's my favorite part was the little song he did at the beginning of like,
That was
everything changed, we like Bo Burnham more because he's not problematic. and he's like, you know, we all went through the same thing, like masks down, keep them up. And then he's like, you go through a divorce, you lose your reputation. And it was just so...
Your reputation is different.
It's different. Yeah, that was really
so
great.
good. Oh my God, the thing with the 11-year-old boy was genius.
That was a plant, but that's
Loved
cool.
it.
I'm just saying, don't ever think things that happen sporadically are like, I can't believe that happened. Because Chris saw him, Chris was like, I wonder if they mic'd that kid. And I was like, no, they don't need to, because his responses don't mean anything. Like, he's going to say... What all the places where he says 5th grader and you go, oh my God, he's calling back to this crazy thing. If the kid would have said 6th grade, he would have said 6th grader. Like it's not taking away from the genius of the bit, but it was pre-written, and that interaction happens at all of his shows with a kid that he finds there. So I'm sorry to pull back the curtain on anything that seems magical, but that was funny. And it is funny because there is always going to be a young kid at his shows because he's so great and appeals to all ages. But I loved my favorite part was him admitting that he wanted to be recognized in rehab.
Yeah.
And that it was very important to him, and that it was very embarrassing for him not to be, and that he left a paper out that said John Mulany goes to rehab, and he left it out. In that kind of vulnerability, when famous people admit that they like being famous and they like attention. Like, I was embarrassed yesterday after I said that I was secretly hoping Taylor would take me up on stage or be like, listen to your voice. Like, that there was a part of me. But then I was like, you know what? Like, that's okay. I was a little bit, and then I saw John Mulany sing, and I'm like, him admitting that is just as embarrassing, that he actually wanted people to recognize him, and that when he said, you know, I'm John M., he kind of waited for an applause break. Like, that shit really made me happy that, you know, this guy that you just, I attribute a lot of, like, he's just funny. He just happens to be funny. He's not in this for any other thing. And he also admits that everything he does is, he worries about what other people think about him constantly and chronically, or at least he used to. I would guess that he still does, but he said he used to. And I like that admission, because I think sometimes celebrities come off like, I actually don't care what people think about me. Or comedians especially, like, oh, I don't give a fuck if you don't like what I do. I've said this before. Any comedian who pretends to be confident like that, or not care what people think, or that they have high self-esteem, is lying and is not a trustworthy comedian. And you shouldn't like them, and you shouldn't trust what they have to say, because they're charlatans and they're
That's
clowns
not just comedians.
and they're acting.
That's people.
It's
That's
absolutely.
everybody.
I think there are some people that genuinely don't care what other people think about them. Comedians, I think, are. And I'm not trying to be like toot our own horn, because this is not a toot. This is a shart in your pants. This is embarrassing. This is that we desperately want people to like us. And I really liked that John Mulany, the king of comedians, the one that everyone wants to be, and he's the coolest guy. He's friends with all the coolest people. He's the coolest comic, and arguably the best comic ever. And he admits that he desperately wants everyone to like him. And that was very soothing to my soul to see, like, kind of someone that I look up to so much, who I think is so much better than me, admitting the thing that I'm essentially, it's the same as me. Brian, what was your favorite part?
There's one line that made me laugh out loud for a long time, was when he said, people don't know what to think about him. I don't know why that line got me. I started laughing for like 10 minutes after he said that.
I liked what he said. Ask your, if you don't know who I am, ask your daughter. Or certain sons.
Yeah. Non-athletic sons.
Non-athletic, or your son if he's not non-athletic. He was like, certain sons love me. Like, there's something about the word certain was really funny to me. That's why I love John Mulany, is those little, like, throwaway lines that, quote unquote throwaway, that are just his word usage is just brilliant. And I just learned so much from watching it. Like, Chris at one point stopped me and said, are you not enjoying this? Or, like, what's going on with you? Because I wasn't laughing. And it wasn't because it wasn't funny. I was just observing the choices he made and how he, it'd be the same as if, you know, the way, Anya, you don't really like listen to music or like new artists and stuff. You're not like loving music as much as like people who don't play music because you're kind of being more
studying.
Like,
it.
what are they doing?
Yeah.
I was analyzing more. But I did laugh a lot. Like when I would let myself kind of like get out of that brain, I had so much fun. It was, I just think it was an important special because it showed this person that had everything, really didn't have it going on that well and was actually really struggling. And I like how there's still a part of me that feels like, well, it just shows how smart he was because he was able to be like and talented. He was able to be like a fucking horrible addict and really function perfectly and like go on talk shows. And I thought his reading the GQ interview he did was so funny. I will say that those questions that the way he reads them is funny, but if you were just to read that, you wouldn't necessarily think that guy was high. Do you agree with me, Brian?
Yeah. Obviously when he does it in that voice, and then if you think about all he asked was, "What did you do today?" And then he go when they break it up, he's not saying like, "And then what did you do?" He's just going, "Oh." Like, and so he's just streamlining through all of that. Yeah, there wasn't pauses there probably in real life. Yeah, he just keeps the guy just, and then even the best part for me, and I don't even know that he was saying it as a joke, but the reporter goes, "I'm gonna let you go." Like, never has a reporter been like, "I'm good on time." Like, usually you're like, you gotta go. But the reporter's like, "Well, there's a lot here, and I don't want to take up any more of your time." And then I won't ruin the last line, but it's fucking great too. It was such a good special. I recommend everyone watching it.
Whoever designed that set and the lighting was absolutely impeccable. I mean, it was a gorgeous theater, but the lighting work was so fucking amazing and mind-blowing and perfectly done. I was completely awestruck by that. It was so perfect. And his suit.
I have someone that would definitely disagree with you.
Really? No, dude. Yeah. I will go. Who? Chris?
The green color.
Everything. There were so many different scenes, and it was all lighting.
I did like that the lighting changed, but man, that was a lot of the pausing for me and my guy. I mean, my guy works in production, and so he was just, at first he was like, "This lighting, this," he was like, "Nikki, he was blown away," and I was almost like, "Easy, I know I'll never be as good as John Mulany's lighting." Like, I was getting kind of offended, and then it started to change, and man, I was like, not happy, but I was like, okay. I was even like, "Easy, we get it. The lighting is letting you down, Chris." But it's very funny. I would like to hear you two talk about that because he couldn't have had more of an opposite reaction. But I agree. It was, and the use of David Byrne. What did you think of that?
Matt was like, and I was like, "This is genius." So we had a little disagreement.
Why is it genius to call your famous friend and say, "Will you make a song for me?"
Because the song was so cool. It was like, like, it wasn't words.
Okay.
I loved, got such a great voice. I think
we just give too much credit to people for having famous friends and going, "Hey, this cool famous person, will you do a thing for me?" And we all just go, "I can't believe it." It's like, of course David Byrne is going to be.
It just made me feel
wish
good.
We could have David Byrne and do our special thing.
It just made me feel good to hear it.
Yeah. Okay. I get that. I think we give too much credit sometimes, and I'll give all the credit to. I mean, he is a genius and brilliant, but sometimes things are where you're just like, you just found the cursed. You you found the coolest person to do something, and you just asked them to do it, and now you're.
Yeah, that's
but maybe
how
we
Matt
should
felt.
give credit.
He was
okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I just thought it was like, we get it. You have famous friends. But also, if I was friends with David Byrne, I would do that in a heartbeat. So,
I've heard
honestly,
famous
no judgment.
people do bad work, though. And I thought it was like inventive and strange. Like, I didn't think, "Oh, this is David Byrne." The second I heard it, I was like, "This sounds like a Talking Head song. This is such a cool song. What is this?" And I'm like, "Oh,
you didn't know?"
David.
It said David Byrne gigantically.
But then
maybe that was what annoyed me.
A few seconds later, it said that. But when it started, I'm like, "What is this cool song?"
All right. I'm just being a little bitch who's jealous that I don't have famous friends.
I thought him name checking some of the people at the intervention was so cool. I'm like, I love that he's name checking some of these people.
Yeah, that was great. And the
doing
Pete Davidson
impressions
story. And he's also still angry about the intervention, which is palpable. I mean, he says it. He literally says that he's still angry about it. But it was just, it's great. And he's one of the best comedians ever. And the special just shows that. And it just shows a new side to what he does. And it's just so self-aware and honest. And it's everything that comedy, in my mind, should be. It's like articulate. It's well put together. It's thought out. It's not sloppy, which I sometimes get to be. Sometimes when I'm trying to keep it too real, it gets sloppy. But there was not a sloppiness to it, but it was still real. It was everything I aspire to be. So closing thoughts is like 10 out of 10. A+++. Doesn't get better than John Mulany right now.
And it was funny.
Thoughts.
Above all, he talked about that stuff while being funny.
Yeah,
the whole time there, I got like a 30-second moment where there was just setup and no funny, and I was like, yes, like finally, he has a little exposition with no funny, but it was so funny. There's just no, and the way he talks, the way he is who he is, and it was vulnerable, but not too much in a way that you're like, this is oversharing, and it was just perfect. So I really recommend everyone watch it. Not that you're not already going to. All right, thank you for listening to the show this week. We will be back next week. Don't you even think we won't? And this weekend I'm going to be in Tucson and Vegas, and then Europe. Tons of dates, and I hope to see all the besties there. We'll see you this weekend out there on the road, and we'll see you next week on the show. Don't be and just go watch John Mulany special.